Hey, Bobby, thank you so much for taking time out of the Human Service Committee meeting.
Yes, indeed.
Your name is being mentioned quite a bit in there,
Okay.
Mr. Bobby Burns. So tell us, what is going on with this stop and frisk? You know, we are very, very concerned.
Sure, sure. Well, as far as stop and frisk, that was a different issue than we were discussing today. What we were discussing today as a group, and I was only speaking on behalf of this much larger group that met over the weekend. So there had been two meetings that were set at the Parasol Room, actually in the Civic Center, to try to have a conversation about how we could establish a working group that would then be tasked with moving forward to evaluate our current citizens review process as it relates to police misconduct. And several of the members residents who attended the second meeting just felt like out of the two meetings, we really didn't have much time to have a meaningful discussion around the issues. We didn't have a good time to answer and to mull over in a group setting, in an open and collaborative setting, to really mull over some of the questions that were being asked of us. And ultimately, what I think that resulted in is that at today's Human Services Committee meeting, they got our responses and statistics associated with our responses that weren't as strong as they should be, and that we feel weren't representative of our expectation for what this working group should be, could be, who should appoint the working group, what type of expertise would be needed on this working group. And so what we asked for today, quite simply, was for the process to slow down a bit. If we can find a volunteer, independent facilitator to manage the next two meetings, and if we could meet with the community, not just us, but everybody who's interested could meet with that facilitator to determine what would be discussed in the meetings, how long the meetings will be, et cetera, et cetera. And I think ultimately what we want to make sure that there's some transparency in the process, that there's an independent nature to the process. There's a lot of concern that if the police department or the city of Evanston is completely framing the conversation and setting the agenda, that it's not going to be representative of the community at large. And so we want to be really sensitive to that. But at the same time, we don't want people to think that this process is about bashing cops or it's about bashing staff. The staff was sent there to do a job. They did that job. Unfortunately, we just were not allowed the time that we needed to have a good, strong discussion about the issues. I think if we're allowed these two meetings, which it sounds like today, they are going to provide us two more meetings. We will get to a conclusion. We will build consensus amongst one another, and then we'll have a recommendation that I think will be good enough for our Human Services Committee to make a good, sound judgment and decision on. So that's what happened in today's meeting. And so I want to really tell all the Evanston Live folks, if you are a facilitator, if you have experience facilitating group discussion, we need you. This is your time to serve. Your community needs you. So you can either reach out to the Human Services Committee chair, Alderman Tindem is the chair, or you can email me directly. My name is Bobby Burns. My email is bobbyjburns@gmail.com. And again, I want to also repeat that I am not a leader of any group. Today, I only spoke on behalf of other concerned residents, wonderful people. We all, as a city, I'm sure does at large, want to see our community become as safe as possible. And the last thing I want to say is that there's been a lot of talk about stop and frisk and data being released. I want police officers to know that all of these discussions, I think, ultimately are going to lead to a safe place, making our community safer for police officers, for residents, and it's going to strengthen our community altogether. So I don't want people to feel like this is not about police officers. It is. We want police officers safe. We want community members to be safe. We want to continue to try to strengthen and improve our community. That's what we're interested in. And again, if it's anybody out there that's trying to serve and facilitate these discussions, we are not a rowdy group. We are a cool group. We would love to bring you in, so let us know.
All right. Thank you so much, Bobby.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right.